Dr. Mindy here, and on this video, I'm going to expand on this idea around what the heck do we do with belly fat. So I specifically want to dive into food. I know I talk a lot about fasting, but it's time for us to talk about foods and how to pair those fasts with really good foods that will help you get rid of the belly fat. And if you are new to my channel, I just want to say welcome. I'm a woman on a mission to get everybody healthy. But specifically, I want to give you some really free and easy tools that you can do now. So hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and let's dive in. Let's address belly fat. So happy that you're here. Okay, so belly fat. This is like a really common question that we get a lot from you guys. And I really want to dial it in and give you some specific things that you can apply today. But before I do that, I really want to explain, like, what is fat? Why does it accumulate at the belly? Why do we accumulate fat in general? And then I'm going to go into 3 specific food groups that you've got to incorporate and understand why you're incorporating them so we can finally get rid of this belly fat. So here's the first concept. I really cannot say this enough that I want us to stop villainizing fat, because there is a reason that your body is accumulating fat, and it's because it needs a storage spot for the excess. So the excess hormones, the excess toxins, the excess glucose. So when your body accumulates fat around parts of that you don't like, especially the belly, we have to stop and remember that the body is giving us a message. So how do we go after that excess? And how do we stop villainizing fat? That's another really key point. Stop looking at yourself in the mirror and telling yourself horrible things when your body was trying to save your frickin' life. So let's have more of an appreciation of, like, wow, the body's doing the right thing at the right time. Thank you, body. Now I want to unwind that and make sure you don't have to store fat anymore. So there are 3 things I want you to think about. The first is that we've got to look at what the major organ that helps us detoxify. Because if we are storing extra toxins and fat, let's dive into the most important organ in the body for detoxification, and that's the liver. Now, when we look at the liver, we have a very specific category of foods the liver needs you to feed it so that it can do its detoxification properly. And we call those bitter foods. And this always kind of leaves people in this quandary of, like, well, what is a bitter food? So I'm going to give you some of my favorite. And this is literally my most favorite. I've eaten this a couple times this week, and it is radicchio. And I actually will use radicchio to wrap it around meat. So I'll put a burger in it. It becomes my bun for on the days I'm going low carb. I'll wrap it around some turkey slices with some grass-fed cheese and eat it like a little wrap. It is so firm that it actually works a lot like bread, and the liver loves it. So radicchio is a phenomenal option. The other option, and I put this in my salads all the time, actually did this last night, is dandelion greens. You've probably heard of dandelion green tea. I like to just get the fiber itself, so I like to go to the actual dandelion green itself. And what I'll do, for those of you who are like, well, what do I do with a dandelion green, is that I actually will take the green and I will cut it up. I'll take some scissors, or I'll chop it with a knife, and I'll cut it up and put it in a mixed salad. So last night, we actually had a mixed green salad with dandelion greens, radicchio, and some other mixed greens. I threw some mint into it. We had a grass-fed steak and a sweet potato, and it was like perfection on a plate. But it really was there was a healing aspect to that meal other than a taste aspect, and dandelion greens were a really important part of that to help support liver health. Outside of things like radicchio and dandelion greens, my next favorite bitter food is ginger. I am a huge fan of fresh pressed ginger. I have been known to walk into a health store and just grab one of those ginger shots and drink it. You can press it yourself. You can put this in tea. You can cut it up and put it in a smoothie. That would be a beautiful way to do it, but it's great support for the liver. Outside of that, we've got lemons are also really great. I mean, we can even look at things like coffee, where coffee is a bitter, If you're doing it clean coffee, that can be supportive of the liver. I mean, I've talked a lot on this channel about the importance of coffee enemas. Well, what does coffee do? Coffee dilates. And so when we're looking to open up the liver so it can get all those toxins out and it doesn't forward it on to the belly to store it as fat, then we want to lean into, some clean coffee. This is not your coffee you go get at your coffee shop unless it's an organic one. This is organic, without chemicals, without mold. That's the kind of coffee you want. I've got a bunch on my website if you want to go look at my favorite. And then the other one that I recently have been dabbling with, I know we got a lot of chefs here on this channel, is something like cranberries. But this isn't like cranberry juice or a dried cranberry where we add sugar to it. This is like a cranberry that you, again, would take an organic cranberry, throw it into a smoothie. It's going to be a little tart, but it's also going to be very supportive of the liver. So those are some of my favorites that I've used personally for bitter foods. But overall, to support the liver and reduce the belly fat, we want the bitter foods. Second concept, and this one's really important for you to get. So what controls blood sugar is our microbiome. So we need to feed the microbes in our gut and make sure we have a really diverse set of microbes so that we can regulate blood sugar. If we've been on antibiotics for a long time, if you've been on decades of birth control, if you've had a lot of steroid use, what you're going to see, and you've been under a lot of stress, what you're going to see is your microbiome is deficient of a good variety of microbes. And you may find that your blood sugar is higher than you want it to be. When I'm working with a patient one-on-one, when I can't get blood sugar down, I go to the liver and I go to the gut to be able to look at how do we regulate blood sugar from that angle as opposed to just looking at fasting, which I love, of course, and looking at supplementation. I know a lot of you have asked me about like cinnamon and things like that. But what I want you to do is start to put some of these hacks I'm giving you into a daily regime that works really well. So when we go to the gut, I have some very clear tried and true ones. The first is bone broth. Now, I want to explain why bone broth works so well. It has something called glycine in it, and glycine will heal the inner lining of your gut. And it will prevent, it can actually stop a leaky gut. So one of my favorite gut hacks is to fast up to 24 hours. I wrote about that in Fast Like a Girl, and then break your fast with bone broth. Now we've actually started to heal the gut in one day. It only takes, by the way, 3 days of consistent, good eating, good fasting to change that microbiome. So can you add more bone broth in, especially when you go to break your fast? Second piece is that we've got to look at something, well, I'll go here for next. We've got to look at some of the probiotic foods that we want to add in. So raw kefir is one of my favorite because it has trillions of good bacteria. I love Raw Farm. I have no financial ties to them. I just love them as humans, and they're on a mission to try to change the microbiome of the world through raw dairy. And this one has turmeric in it. It has some cinnamon, so it can help with that blood sugar coming down, but it's also got trillions of bacteria, more powerful than even a probiotic. I break my fast often with this. And then the last part of the microbiome, especially for women, that I want to talk about is the power of the estrobolome. Now, this is a set of bacteria in your gut that break estrogen down. If we go back to what I said in the beginning of this video, the reason that we accumulate fat, especially around the belly, is because of excess. So one of those excesses is estrogen. You've got to have a good microbiome to break estrogen down. Otherwise, your body stores it as fat, especially belly fat. So are you eating enough green leafy vegetables? So parsley is always in my refrigerator. I cut this up and put it in salads almost every day. Outside of that, I like to get anywhere between 4 and 8 cups of green leafy vegetables a day. When I make a salad, I put mixed greens in it. I put parsley, I put mint, I put radicchio, I put dandelion greens. So I try to use a salad as my tool, my healing tool, to be able to support my liver and my microbiome. That combination now has my liver detoxifying the bad estrogens, and it has me breaking those bad estrogens down and the good estrogens down so the good can be used and the bad can go away. This is the level of nuance that we need to start talking about when we're looking at something as simple as belly fat. We've got to break down how you can get rid of that and understand it from a deeper level, because your body is always doing the right thing at the right time. I got another book for you. It's called Eat Like a Girl. You will now know for your feminine body how to metabolically switch. I hope it helps. Last thing I want to tell you, when we look at blood sugar, we want to look at stability. And if your blood sugar is doing this all day long, what happens is in those peaks of glucose, you're also getting a peak of insulin. And as many people are moving more towards insulin resistance, what happens is that we're starting to see that the body doesn't know how to even stabilize something as simple as a sweet potato, my favorite carbohydrate on the planet. So putting our carbs with a fat slows down the spike of blood sugar, which is a brilliant thing. So grass-fed butter goes on everything I can possibly put on it. I also add avocado to almost everything that I eat. The salad I talked about that I made last night had a whole avocado in it. Many of you have commented on the recipe in Fast Like a Girl where I show you how to break your fast with avocado and sauerkraut. But when you add a fat into every single meal, you are stabilizing your blood sugar. When you stabilize your blood sugar, you're not getting these big spikes and these big crashes. When you don't have the big spike, there's no glucose to store. There's nothing to store. There's no insulin to store. When you're cleaning up the liver, the liver's detoxifying in a normal, healthy way. There's nothing to store. When we start to add in some really smart microbiome repair foods, like I spoke of, you're regulating your blood sugar, and now you don't have that glucose and insulin at high levels. So there's nothing to store. That's the trick. Like, I want you to see this so clearly, that the art to losing weight exists in fasting and food. Yes, movement's going to help. I love movement. You won't ever hear me say don't exercise, don't move. But what I want you to understand is stop saying mean things to yourself. Stop villainizing the fat. It just needs you to treat it a different way. And this is how it wants you to eat. So as always, I hope that helps. And please put in the notes, because we are a community here on YouTube, put in the comments what you notice with the different length fasts and then adding some of the foods back in, what you notice, so that we can start to see that is of critical essence for you. Now, if you want to go into more detail with this, come join me in my Resetter Academy. This is where we're taking the people in our academy and we're helping them customize nutrition and fasting for their own benefit. I love inspiring you guys here on YouTube, but if you need more help, we have created that membership group for you. But as always, you can't give up on yourself. Stop shaming yourself. Stop telling yourself horrible things. Your body is perfect. It is working in perfection. It just needs you to have the owner's manual, and I'm trying to give you the owner's manual. So as always, I hope that helps. If you want to join our academy, just put academy in your comments and my team will send you a link. So sending you tons of love, and I know this will change your life. I know you're struggling to lose weight. It may be your fasting length. So in this video, I'm going to show you the perfect fasting length to unstick weight loss. In fact, it's such an incredible tool for weight loss. I think you should start with fasting before you change your food to be able to get into that door in for losing weight.